Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So happy new year, even though today is the second day of the year. I know most people just got back from vacation, from your relatives, from wherever you came from. But so welcome back. We are in the new year. Let's see how this year will be versus last year, which we all know was very, very bad. But unfortunately, the big story of today is another piece of bad news. DCG, Digital Currency Group, and their incompetence, and how that incompetence is putting Bitcoin at risk. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about everything else that's going on today. So welcome, guys. Today, the U.S. market is closed, which is why I did not stream at my usual time, 8:30 a.m., right? But you know what? Bitcoin started moving ever so slightly this morning. Just a little bit, 16.7, a little bit better than yesterday. So we'll take that. And actually, several altcoins are up in a big way, including Solana. Solana jumped up in a major way, and I'll cover that in a little bit. You can see up 13%, one of the leaders up today, right? I'll talk about this in a little bit, but the main thing I want to talk about spurred from this, okay? This is from Cameron Winklevoss, a co-founder of Gemini Exchange. A lot of you guys have heard of Winklevosses or Winklevi, however you want to define the brothers. They're the ones that that sued Mark Zuckerberg for stealing the idea of Facebook, but that was years ago. They started Gemini, right, and recently they had issues with Gemini Earn because that was offered by Genesis, and Genesis stopped withdrawals. So it's been about a month or two, and Gemini says they've been working or trying to work with Genesis on opening up withdrawals. But today, they published this, and they're just fed up. They're really fed up. Now, basically, this is an open letter to Barry Schilbert, who is the CEO of DCG, who is the parent company of Genesis and the parent company of Grayscale, the two biggest names in the space, among others. Like CoinDesk is also owned by DCG. They are actually absolutely enormous in this space. Okay, but what's said in this letter is not good, not good at all. So to start out, 47 days since Genesis halted withdrawals, 340,000 earned users. Right, this is all from Gemini's platform. They called it Gemini Earn. So there were 340,000 users. Okay, and there's a sob story, of course, about how, husband and wife, school teacher, policeman, school, everyone from all walks of life, right, lent you their crypto, around 900 million, okay, 900 million, so close to $1 billion. Then it goes on, and it's just more damaging that for the past 6 weeks, they basically have been trying to work and get Barry into a meeting so that they can talk about how to give back that $900 million. And according to Cameron and Gemini, DCG has been pushing him aside, right? Basically making it impossible to get in a room to find a resolution. They've been dragging their feet. And according to Gemini right here, bad faith stall tactics, okay? So that's not sounding good. But it gets worse. That's the thing. It gets much worse. So they then go on and blame DCG as the problem, not Genesis, DCG, because DCG, the parent company, was the company that borrowed $1.675 billion. $1.7 billion. DCG borrowed from Genesis. $1.7 billion. And what did they do with that money? Well, according to Cameron, they fueled greedy share buybacks, they participated in liquid venture investments, and kamikaze grayscale NAV trades that balloon the fee-generating AUM of your trust, all at the expense of creditors and for your own personal gain. Okay? That's pretty damning. That's pretty damning. And if true, then yes, DCG is definitely incompetent, Barry is incompetent, and this could lead to something much worse for the entire industry. Okay, so, and then the letter goes on and says, you know what? A little bit of personal attack. How Barry started his career as a bankruptcy restructuring associate, and how he may be familiar in terms of, protecting a company from bankruptcy from another company, right? Which may be the reason why before he was the CEO of Genesis, and then he kind of distanced himself and made himself the CEO of DCG. So if Genesis goes down, maybe DCG is protected knowing what he knows, right? But Cameron says, regardless, you are the leader. Everyone looks to you for direction, right? So you can't hide yourself behind your companies, right? Or shell companies or whatever, right? So basically, you need to solve this, okay? So this is a pretty damning letter made out in the open, in the public. Kind of shows you how fed up the Winklevosses are of this situation, because obviously Gemini is getting most of the blame, because people that participate in Gemini earn, well, they're blaming Gemini because they participated. So I'm sure Gemini really wants to solve this if they can. Now, to be fair, I don't know what Gemini can actually do other than just put up their own money, right? Because they say they want to work with Genesis to try to open up withdrawals, but unless they have $900 million to give to Genesis, I don't see how they're going to do anything, right? But it does seem like they want to get into the room and talk it out, and they are being brushed aside, and they are getting very fed up, and now they're releasing this, right? And Barry Shilbert has been silent on Twitter for about 6 months. No response, no tweet, nothing at all, right? So not only do they owe $900 million to the customer, but in total, they took out $1.7 billion that they have to patch. So what did they do with the $1.7 billion, you may be wondering? Well, according to this old article on Reuters, $1.2 billion was lost due to Three Arrows Capital. Yay. I didn't mean to say that, but no surprise. Three Arrows Capital brought down so many lending companies, okay, because they were seen as one of the pinnacle VCs of crypto, and so many companies lent them money without asking for collateral back, right? So now, basically, $1.2 billion out of that $1.7 billion lost because Three Arrows Capital's went under. So they also participated in what looks like a giant loan without asking for any collateral. That's what it looks like. Okay, so that's the $1.2 billion. What about the remaining $500 million, right? Well, the Winklevosses said that it's due to investments and also due to share buybacks, right? And that is true because they did do a huge stock repurchase. And they also did other investment opportunities, right? Which I don't know what they put their money into. But look at this article, right? DCG owes $575 million to Genesis Trading Group, and this is due to share buybacks and due to these other investment opportunities. And what this doesn't cover is that NAV trading that Cameron expressed, the grayscale NAV trades that ballooned the fee-generating AUM of the trust. So I think what that's implying is that the assets under management for all the various trusts could be false, or the volume of them could be false because Grayscale themselves or DCG themselves may have participated in a lot of those trades, right? Which, if you think about it, should be illegal. I don't know if that's exactly what it's saying, but that's what it sounds like. Grayscale NAV trades that balloon the fee-generating AUM of your trust, right? So that's kind of what's being thrown out there, right? Throwing out, and when will DCG, will Barry Silbert come and respond to this? He definitely should. He definitely should not stay in the dark and let this thing escalate more. Now, why does this put Bitcoin at risk, right? You may be wondering. Well, like I said at the beginning, Grayscale is also owned by DCG. Grayscale has a ton of trusts, and we do have 643,000 Bitcoins held in Grayscale's Bitcoin trust. And if you look at their other trusts, like their Ethereum trust and others, there's a substantial amount of crypto in there. So, worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario, if they can't come up with any kind of funding, any kind of loans from anyone else, because that's probably what they're doing. Probably what Barry is doing is talking to all the banks, talking to all the VCs, talking to everyone to try to borrow $1.7 billion. And probably unsuccessful, because this is probably the worst time to be doing so. But if you can't get it, right, that's number one. Number two is he has assets to sell off. So according to an article, like CoinDesk is owned by them, which is last time I saw an estimate, CoinDesk was worth close to $1 billion. I don't know if that's actually true. But there's CoinDesk, Luno, Foundry, and other venture assets that they can sell off to plug that hole. They probably don't want to, because again, all these are worth way less than what they were worth in, during peak of 2021. So you'll be selling it probably at a 50, 60, 70, 80% discount, right? So they probably don't want to do that. But the worst case scenario is if they can't do any of these things, they can't sell any assets, they can't get any loans, then what's speculated is they're going to start selling off some Bitcoin from the Bitcoin Trust. And that is the absolute worst thing that we want, right? We do not want 643,000 Bitcoins being sold in the open market, right? That's worth about $11 billion, which is 3% of the entire supply of Bitcoin. That's out of 21 million. So if you do divide it out of 19 million, it's probably like 4% or higher, right? And even if they sold out, does not mean they need to sell off everything. But that is the absolutely worst case scenario, which is why I titled, you know what, DCG's incompetence and Barry Silbert's confidence in this case could actually put Bitcoin at real risk. But let's hope we don't get there. There are still options. There are definitely still options. Right, but this open letter is pretty damning, very damning, right? And it throws a ton of shade and a ton of unanswered questions towards Barry. So will he answer? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. So, unfortunately, I start out with this bad news to this new year, because it does seem like, Bitcoin's making a little traction. We're starting to maybe turn around a little bit just within the first 2 days, but then we have this. Okay. So it's a developing situation that I will keep you guys apprised of, but right now it is. Oh, you know what? Someone just told me. One of my guys just told me. Barry answered. Let's look at it. Let's see if he answered. Okay, here we go. So Barry answered, DCG did not borrow $1.7 billion from Genesis. DCG has never missed an interest payment to Genesis, is current on all outstanding loans. Next loan is May 2023. DCG delivered to Genesis and your advisor's proposal on December 29 and has not received any response. Interesting. So he's claiming they didn't borrow, and well, I think he's saying that number is wrong, because he had to have borrowed something. Otherwise, there would not be an interest payment to Genesis. So there's definitely something, a large amount that he borrowed, but not $1.675 billion. He didn't address the NAV trades. He didn't address the other investment, illiquid investments and stuff like that. And then he's like, well, there's a proposal. But that's not what Cameron wants. Cameron wants to sit in a room with him to talk. But Barry obviously does not want to talk. So it's just a proposal and not a meeting, right? So not sure what that's about. But I guess that's the latest. Again, developing situation. I will let you guys know what comes next. All right. What about other crypto and Bitcoin news today? Well, I did mention about Solana. Solana jumped up about 13%. Just when it seemed like Sol was dead, developers leaving left and right, and there's just so much shade at Solana. All of a sudden, someone, a big group or some individual, pours like $500 million into Solana. Okay. Well, no, he didn't pour $500 million, but they poured a huge amount to cause a $500 million jump in market cap. So Solana jumped up big. Okay. I don't know who put money in there. Maybe because SBF is out at his parents' house still. He found an extra 100 million, 200 million laying around, and he decided to buy Sol with it. I don't know who bought in, but Sol jumped up huge, right? And some people say maybe it's Vitaliks' tweet. But Vitaliks' tweet came days earlier, and it didn't really do anything. So I don't know. I don't know what caused it, but the fact that it did jump up, to $11 from its low of $9 from a few days ago, that's great. I know a lot of people still hold on Sol. I do too. So I would like to see it recover, but I'm not sure what prompted it to jump up so much, other than some whales buying in. So there's that. As for XRP, or I should say the people's currency, there's more speculation that these Hinman emails are not as damning as Brad and other people think, because if they were, then the SEC would have settled already. But the fact that they didn't settle and they let XRP or Ripple get those emails, right? Even though they fought them, but basically this lawyer thinks that it's just, they were just doing it to drag things on, to cost Ripple more money, right? And basically it's not going to end anything. So that's why this guy thinks that Ripple is not going to settle, because SEC is not going to settle, and this will carry forward, right? And Gary Gensler is basically rolling the dice at this point, because there are a lot of people that want CFTC to take over to become the crypto watchdog, not SEC, right? So he knows that his time may be up anyways, so that, he might as well continue. So that's what this one lawyer thinks, owner of Deedon Law Firm. I think it's valid if you think about it logically. I didn't even think about the point that SEC, if they knew that the emails were so damning, that they would have tried to settle, right? Unless they tried to settle and Ripple said no. That could also be an option, but we'll find an answer in 2023, that's for sure. In 2022, I told people, even at the beginning of 2022, this lawsuit is not going to be settled anytime soon, right? And when did this start? I think it started in 2020, 2021. So it's been years, and I said that at the beginning. And people were like bashing me, like, no, what are you talking about? It's going to be selling in 6 months. I'm like, no, it's not. It's going to take like 2-3 years. Because all the other cases versus the other crypto companies took about 2 to 3 years. So why would this one be faster, right? But I do think it's going to settle. Well, we're going to get some kind of judgment in 2023. So we'll see. We will see what happens. Dogecoin. Dogecoin Foundation announced a new fund for core developers. 5 million Doge, about 360,000 deposited, and this will be rewarding the core developers. Now, what's interesting about this is this was speculated before. Elon brought this up too. So does this mean that Elon is going to be allocating? Or did that 5 million Doge come from Elon already? We don't know, right? But this gives hope that Doge can actually develop more things on top of its chain right now, right? Because right now Doge is purely meme, basically no development whatsoever, none that I know of, nothing significant, maybe a little small code changes for bug fixes or whatever, but like nothing, like no layer 2, no metaverse, no NFTs, no payment rails, payment gateways, no DEX. I don't hear about any of these things. But maybe this will spur some new innovation on top of Dogecoin, and maybe Elon contributes to this as well himself. I don't know. Maybe he will. We will see. What else is going on? As for Bitcoin, a lot of predictions, obviously. You got a lot of bears and bulls. Some are calling a 70% plunge. If DCG starts selling out Bitcoin, that may be the reality. But some are calling for a 1,400% rally as well. And this is the year that it could start, because we're getting closer and closer to the next halving event. And I've been talking a lot about that recently, right? So you got bears and bulls fighting it out, all speculating where Bitcoin will be by the end of this year. And I guess we will see. My personal thoughts are, I think the first 6 months, we don't see a whole lot of movement. We'll see some recovery, but not a whole lot of movement. But the second half of 2023 is when things get really, really exciting. And there are, of course, still a ton of metrics, on-chain metrics, a ton of indicators and moving averages, and a lot of models that show that Bitcoin has found a bottom and is ready to go up. Here's one. Net realized profit and loss. Okay, see all the red points, right? Usually indicating a bottom, and we go upwards. But there's many others like that. Yesterday I covered a 4-year cycle thing, a 4-year cycle model, but here's another one that's like anticipation, panic, stabilization, anticipation, and then end of the bear market, right? Just like the previous times. Look at previous cycles, right? We have seen those times. PlanB's model, he kind of revalued, this. I think this is stock to flow. This is pretty new. He changed up the colors, but yeah, even he says that we're getting ready for the next halving event, right? The halving event is coming, and the halving event is tremendous. And every single year, every single cycle, I should say, as we're leading up to it, you see a Bitcoin price appreciation, right? Not to its previous highs, but you definitely see a good movement. And then afterwards, you see that tremendous upside, right? We're getting closer and closer to that. Closer and closer to that. So, good stuff. Good stuff to look forward to for Bitcoin. Now, as for Ethereum, Vitalik was asked why he's bullish or what he's most bullish on. And he talked about the new EIP 4844, which will basically start Ethereum on a path of scaling, getting roll-ups, okay? Which, and there's so many steps to the roadmap, but it's like the very first one, right? And also, this new EIP 4844 will also allow people to finally unstake Ethereum from the chain. So a lot of people are looking forward to that. But these two things are coming up in this year. I think it's around, I forgot what month. It was like, I remember hearing it was like 4 to 5 months or something like that. So probably around May, June timeframe. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. We're getting a little movement today. That's good. Even though the U.S. market is closed, right? 2 days, 2 days into the new year, all the tax loss harvesting that people were doing at the end of the year, during December. Well, no one's doing that in January. So we'll see how this month shapes out. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Scrolling through a chat here. DCG is the next FTX. I really, 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 really hope it's not the case, because DCG is much, much, much bigger. Much bigger than FTX. So hopefully that is not the case. They have assets to sell. There's still a chance to get a loan. So there's still hope. But this open letter does not sound good at all. Let's see. Dalt off. I've been increasing my daily DCA amount the more the market dumps. That's certainly a good way to approach it. A good strategy that many people follow. DCA, you could do it according to schedule, or you could do it according to a percentage drop. It's up to you. Or you could just buy the dip whenever you feel like it. Block Connect says, seems like these crypto companies are over leveraged. A lot of them during the good times, they take on too much risk because they think nothing. It's just like gambling, right? Like, I was at a casino last night with my cousin, and he taught me how to play craps. And it's the same thing. When things are hot and you're rolling really, really good, right? People tend to double up and put more chips on the line, right? Because they're greedy. They want to win more. And unfortunately, it only goes so far until someone rolls a 7 and everyone loses everything, right? That's kind of the case with these big boys back in 2021. You had these big boys like Barry now, and then Alex Mashinsky and Zach and everyone else. Of course, Do Kwon and Suzusu, all these guys, right? Just risked way too much when things were doing good. And then in 2022, when things became bad, a 7 was rolled and they all got liquidated. And unfortunately, the contagion spread, and this is where we are. All right, let's see here. Link when asked, did you hear James was dumped from DCA and Ben and Dan brought in a Coin Bureau guy? I didn't hear that. Someone told me about this new show. Is it because James left or he was kicked out? I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Joe Lamas, good to have you back. Algorand or Cosmos? Which do you prefer and why? I like Cosmos more. I like Algorand, but I like Cosmos a lot more because they're going to introduce interchain security, which is a big thing. Smaller chains that come on top will be able to use their nodes and kind of lease against nodes. Atom will have more purpose because of it. And also, they're all about interoperability. So you have many chains, many DeFi projects within the space that's kind of talking to each other, right? So I like the concept of Cosmos. If someone stole my seed phrase and hacked my Coinbase wallet, it's still safe to do trades on Coinbase Exchange. Yes, because it's unfortunately, if that happened, sorry to hear that. You gotta really protect your seed phrase, but it has nothing to do with Coinbase Exchange. Am I familiar with Zen Crypto? No, unfortunately, I'm not. James or Ben were always at odds. That's actually surprising because after I left DCA, and I left voluntarily, not because I was kicked out, because I was just getting bored with the whole thing. You know, they filled a hole with Ben. And I talked to Ben. I met him a few years ago, Ben Cohen, and he's a really nice guy. Really nice guy. I wouldn't mind doing something with him in the future, but we never did. But yeah, so I'm surprised. I mean, Ben, I know like Ben is a big Cardano guy because he runs a ton of nodes, and James was always so against Cardano, so that always surprised me how they uh how they were, you know, they were chatting, how they were in a group with that kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it was contention, but whatever. Whatever. I'm staying out of it. Yeah, I did see Barry respond. I did cover this right here, right? He doesn't deny a lot of things. He addressed a few things. So the good thing about Barry is he didn't stay quiet. I just said at the beginning, we definitely need to see Barry respond, and he did. But he did not respond to everything. He didn't do like a 10 tweet response, right? He's basically saying they did borrow money, but not 1.675 billion. But it could still be substantial, right? About all the stuff that they did use that money for, he didn't respond to. And then also about getting in a room, he doesn't want to do that. He just has a proposal. I don't even know what the proposal has, what that really means. Now someone's saying Winklevoss, Cameron responded back to that. Let's see. A lot of tweet replies. You know, I want to know how these guys have so much time on their hands to like live on Twitter. Like you would figure someone like Cameron Winklevoss would not be on his Twitter nonstop to answer, right? But somehow he is. Okay, here we go. There you go. Stop trying to pretend that you and DCG are innocent bystanders and nothing to do with creating this mess. Completely disingenuous. How does DCG owe Genesis 1.675 billion if it didn't borrow the money? Oh, right, that promissory note. So basically, Cameron is still throwing out the bunches. He's like, just stop lying. I don't believe you. No one believes you. I don't know, man. You would have figured like someone like Cameron and Barry, they were close, you know, like kind of buddies. You would figure like people in the industry would know each other, right? And then, and I guess, you know, you just never know. You just never know who you're partner with. What will happen to the NFT market in 2023 and beyond? I think the NFT market will recover. It will recover just like crypto, but right now it's in a dump, but it will recover. Rob, no, I didn't see it. And no, I'm not going to see it because just from the title alone makes me not want to watch it, and I know for sure it's just a FUD piece that's irrelevant. This whole thing has proven to me that credit investors don't know what they're doing. You know, this whole thing about being labeled a credit investor, it does not mean that you're financially literate. It does not mean that you are smarter than others about money. It really doesn't. It's all dependent on how much you make. You could be a doctor and be known as a credit investor. You just need to make a certain amount of money to be a credit investor. It doesn't mean that you have to be some kind of financial guru. It doesn't mean you have to have a ton of investments or years of investment experience. No, it doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that you need to make a certain amount of money. So you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, right? And be a credit investor. It does not mean that you're like really good with money. So that's the funny thing about this whole thing. about a lot of the ICOs, a lot of these token offerings. Like, oh, you have to be a credit investor. That doesn't mean jack. It really doesn't. There's so many people with a lot of money that just have no idea what to do with it. There's someone on Rumble here asking, Juju, Bitcoin is only worth what people will accept and what backs it. Currency is always limited to what backs it. And what backs Bitcoin? What backs Bitcoin is the network, okay? It's the network. It's the most secure and the most decentralized network we have today. The ability to send Bitcoin from one person to another across the world in literally seconds with the Lightning Network, or 10 minutes if you don't use the Lightning Network, that is worth a ton. That is worth what it's worth now. Okay? If nothing else, if you want to discount the fact that people are holding it and that's driving, the money, the dollar amount up, if you want to ignore that, then concentrate on the network, because you can't replicate it. It can't be replicated. You'd have, like, let's say you're Google right now, or you're Microsoft, and you say, I'm going to create a decentralized network, and I'm going to have people run the nodes across the world, right? And we're going to try to mimic Bitcoin. Watch how fast it gets shut down. It'll get shut down immediately. There's no tech giant, no matter how much money they spend, can replicate Bitcoin network at this point. None. Look at Facebook. They tried. They tried to come out their currency, got shut down immediately by all countries. They tried to come out their wallet, got shut down immediately by all countries, right? So you think about it. Something that Bitcoin has achieved probably will never be achieved again. I mean, that in itself has a ton of value. There's no other payment network or payment rail. It doesn't matter if you're using ACH, wire transfers, MoneyGram, Western Union, PayPal, credit cards. There's no other payment rail that the government doesn't control, the companies can't shut down, right? None. But you have Bitcoin that can't be shut down. So there you go. That's why Bitcoin has worth. I wonder if Barry responded to Cameron's reply. We're going back and forth here in real time. Let's see if he responded here. No, he did not. Well, but Cameron responded again. Will you or will you not commit by solving this by January 8th in a manner that treats the 1.1 billion promissory note as 1.1 billion? I don't know what the deal with this date, January 8th. I'm not quite sure the significance of that. It seems just the arbitrage date that Cameron specified, but I don't know if there's something else to it. Or maybe that's when the promissory note expires. I don't know. I don't actually know. What's this 200 BTC right here? Oh, it just disappeared. Top crypto news. Okay, it was some hack from before. Okay, nothing significant. Juan says January 8th, put position with $1 million margin. Well, let's hope that's not the case. Model Y is trending. I think Tesla releases their numbers today, and it could be bad, or maybe it's good. A Jeep Wrangler and Jeep Cherokee are both eligible for the 7,500 EV credit. Model Y is not. Is there a Model Y number release? No. Basically, Model Y got no incentives, I guess. Does not qualify. Will this affect Gemini? I don't think so, other than their reputation taking a huge hit, Winston. Obviously, it was labeled Gemini Earn, even though most people, I don't know if most people didn't know, but they did warn people that it was not their product. It was a third party. So it definitely puts a big black eye on them, right? So, of course, this is damage control right now. Cameron wants to let people know that it's not us. It's Barry and DCG. It's not us, right? But regardless, they made that connection. They made that partnership. And they should have seen things coming too, right? But we are where we are. Sin City Crypto. Welcome, guys. Welcome. I saw your email. Didn't respond yet. If Ripple wins the SEC case, will you have Gina Irish stream? Hey, that's possible. That's possible. Why not? Happy New Year. Max is listening to me in the gym. Congratulations. I need to hit the gym again. Been a while since I hit the gym. Couple of weeks. Need to hit the gym. When is the next Fed meeting? Beginning of February. Like the first few days of February. Crypto Mac, why do you never answer my question? Because I don't pay attention to you. That's the honest truth. I just answered your question right now. I got a lot of things scrolling on my screens. Now I have Rumble and Twitch on. I'm trying to like look at all three screens at the same time. It's kind of tough, to be honest. Can Litecoin having affect Doge? Not really. The two have nothing to do with each other than the merge mining, but no, it doesn't. Dogecoin, in case you guys didn't know, is the second biggest. No, it may be the biggest proof of work. No, second biggest, I guess, behind Litecoin. Second biggest proof of work chain that we have. Jose says, I finally watched Top Gun 2 Maverick, my favorite movie. It is a damn good movie. It is a very, very good movie. Rollcore says, I know my government will break any promise they make. Bitcoin can't break promises because it doesn't make promises. That is true. Everything's governed by code. That's why so many people turn to Bitcoin, because it's governed by code. It can't inflate more than it is right now. And that inflation is decreasing, right? It's not controlled by any government or entity, company. You know, even if you threaten to ban Bitcoin, you can't. That's why basically everyone has given up on that notion. In 2017, you still heard about, oh, maybe the U.S. government will try to ban Bitcoin. No. Do you hear that? No. They don't try to ban it anymore because they realize that's fruitless. It's pointless. You can't do it. So now they're trying to go after, or seemingly trying to go after like DeFi or Ethereum and all these others because they've given up on trying to ban Bitcoin. It's just impossible. That goes to what I said in the Q&A. basically, Bitcoin can't be replicated. There is no company on earth that can actually try to mimic Bitcoin and be successful at this point. That ship had sailed. And having this network is priceless. You can't put a price tag on it. You can't. It's like trying to put a price tag on the Mona Lisa. You can't, because there will be none other that will be like it, just like Bitcoin's network. Thoughts on Theta and T-Fuel in the next 2 to 3 years? I have not paid attention to Theta. I have not heard anything about Theta for probably like a year. They came out with another token, and they're a tried token setup now, and I don't hear much about any traction on their NFT front, which they were trying to push. Also, their streaming front, I don't hear anyone talk about it. I don't know if they made any success at getting more people on Twitch.tv. Because last time I checked, it was pretty empty. So as long as they can continue to execute and draw on more users, more importantly, then they could do fine. But right now, I don't hear anything about them. You know what show is pretty good? For those of you guys just looking for a show, Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone on Paramount Plus. That's actually a pretty good show. Outside of that, I don't watch anything else. I don't know if there's any show. Mim and Spell, not a fan of at all. Been asking the same for 8 months. Any thoughts on Sologenic? The answer is no. No thoughts on Sologenic. I don't know what project that is, and I don't know anything about it. So my thoughts are none. I have no thoughts on it. Is that an adequate answer? Please change the background to dark. White is Disneying. I don't even know how to do that with Twitter. I'll just change the screen. There we go. So we got a good bump, 1.52%. Overall, Bitcoin's up slightly, 0.7%. All right. That is it. You know what? We got some bad mojo from Cameron about Barry and DCG. And they're still fighting it out. But right now, fingers are being pointed at Barry, being incompetent, leading the ship wrong, and we will see what Genesis or what DCG does. Worst case scenario, they have to sell Bitcoin. That's worst case scenario. We're not there yet. But hopefully they could figure this out. And I'm not quite sure what Gemini's going to do about it, but they're trying. They're trying very hard. But you know what? We are in a new year. So we got a lot to look forward to. And that's why we all need to stay together and stay strong and look forward to the future. All right, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.